Welcome to this week's episode. I'm excited for two things this week. One, I get to sit back and listen because I did the intro to Wendigos last week, and I get to listen to your stories this week. And I'm also excited because I wanted to say thank you to those of you that have given us feedback on YouTube and stuff, and we really like the encouragement and appreciate it. Thank you.
It makes us super happy. It makes us want to keep going. I'm sure it's possible. I know that people could possibly give feedback, I think on Apple and the other stations you can listen on, but I do not know how to access all those. So we just go off of YouTube, which is why we're switching just to YouTube, and maybe we'll be able to bring you videos soon as well. But just seeing all of those, it made our day when Alan told me we had some comments because I forgot to check it recently.
And I'd love to know too if you guys want to have videos of us just recording. It'll just be us recording. It'll sound the same, but you'll see our faces.
Eventually, if we go on little adventures, we could cut those together and put those on our channel too. So make like a different playlist for everybody for what we're doing on the side.
And Hannah does all the editing, so if we do video, I feel like we'll have less. We will have more content, but you'll have less editing to do because I'm not going to want you to have to edit video as well as audio.
Yeah, I think the video will be quite raw footage.
Yeah.
Be like, here we are at our finest.
So if we do video, you'll have more of the cats interrupting and random stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But people would like to, at least this time, you could actually see them.
Yeah.
All right, so this week we bring you the Wendigo Part 2, where we're just going over stories. And I got 5 or 6 stories, and I got them all from Reddit. As far as how real they are, these are stories people posted. I did try to sift through some because there were some where people are like, oh, I want to be an author. Let me know how this sounds. And so you could clearly tell
made up.
They were like writing a story about the Wendigo, but it wasn't an experience. So I tried to make sure I didn't pick those. So we'll see. So the first one, and like I said, all Reddit. So the first one is by E11 Combatant. I don't know. I don't know.
It's already good.
Some of these are hard. My friends and I think we were being hunted by a Wendigo. And then they said the whole story takes place on an 8-mile stretch of road in Hamlin, New York. So, hey, New Yorkers, sightings of Wendigos by you. I was 16 years old and went on a fishing trip with my 4 friends, Brian, Mike, Ethan, and Joe. The fishing spot was under a bridge 1.5 miles away from any houses. The day started out fun. Everybody was excited to go fishing and smoke, and the walk to the spot went well. There were squash fields littering the sides of the main road, so we snagged a few and continued on, also grabbing corn.
I never pictured grabbing squash on the go.
Me either.
Anytime we have squash,
I can't say
it's like a process to cook. And
I can't say I've passed a squash field before. We get to the spot and fish for a few hours until it was 9:30 p.m. This is where shit pops off. But before I say anything else, I want to recognize that my friend Brian is a descendant of the Navajo tribe and believes in druid stuff. I'm an atheist.
Is that Navajo?
Navajo. What did I say?
No.
Navajo.
I understand when you read sometimes. Like the other day, I read the word was tenacious, and I thought they were going to say tenacity because I was reading a story or a thing, and I said
tenacious.
Yeah, it sounded like an asses.
My bad. We start to hear dogs barking in the distance, like a wild pack of dogs, but the chances of that being a thing are low, so we consider coyotes.
Coyotes.
Don't know what's wrong with my reading today.
Coyotes.
Coyotes. We soon realize that coyotes don't bark, they yip, so that's out of the window. We're all a little bit paranoid at this point, so we come to the conclusion that walking back the 8 miles and downing a bottle of rum at Brian's house was a good idea.
Brian.
A quarter way back, my friend Brian stops dead in his tracks in the middle of the road. The expression on his face changed from concern to the look of fear. I walked up to him, wondering what was up, and he grabbed me by the wrist and pointed my hand out into the fields, and all I could see looking back at me was a pair of eyes the size of footballs. Me and Brian agree silently to keep it between us two as to not freak everybody out and end up getting split up, so we just kind of pick up the pace so everybody is forced to follow at our speed. Halfway back to Brian's house, we pass a white farmhouse with a cornfield across from it. Next thing I know, it feels like a plane buzzed by, and there's about a 40-yard trail crashing through the corn. Oh, and all while this is happening, we hear the beeping dogs following us. we try to avoid the F word on this show, so it's not like explicit. I don't know what swear words make it completely explicit. As we return at Brian's house and pull out the bleepin' 12 gauge and a bottle of rum and sit on his porch, we are the same dog. I think they meant to say we hear the same dogs from earlier start whining off in the distance like they were upset at us. I then proceeded to have night terrors while drunk at my buddy's house. LOL. So.
LOL.
LOL. So, between the squash and the corn and some rum, and a Wendigo thrashing through the squash fields. So, that was story number 1.
I'm a little lost with the dogs. What were the dogs doing?
I think they think, was it a pack of Wendigos? Or is that what they were thinking?
Maybe.
Because she made it sound like the dogs were upset at them. But, I don't know. All right. Story number 2.
How many stories do we have so I know how much enthusiasm to save up?
Keep the enthusiasm going. I think I had 6.
6 stories?
Well, usually if we both do it, you have 3, I have 3. So.
Yeah, but you know my attention span is so short.
Well, just keep her going. You're doing a good job. All right, story number 2. Enchanted Rose X wrote, my dream encounter... Oh, yeah, like, they're just like, oh, I really want to run into a Wendigo. No, like physical dream. My dream encounter with a Wendigo. I have had 2 dreams of the Wendigo, and it has me worried, but I'm not 100% sure if I actually met one in the dream realm. I am very open-minded in dreams. I lucid dream frequently, and I have astral projected accidentally a few times. It runs on my mother's side of the family. I
only laugh because it sounds like a big thing to I'm like, to accidentally do. I'm just astral projecting.
Oopsies. On my mother's side of the family, general thing to mention before I talk about the dream. So she thought that was important to mention because maybe her run-in happened while she was astral projecting. And I know like a lot of people believe in that. I even think that could be something fun to cover because some people have scary astral projection dreams or whatever. I don't know if you still call it a dream. All right. So this said countryside Wendigo dream. As you can imagine, it started off in the countryside when I first saw it in my dream. The setting was perfect for a Wendigo, I thought. Maybe if I say its name a few times, it might show after I had mentioned the creature's name. I looked down, seeing a frozen, what looked to be part of a deer rib cage. Then when... Her typing is very bad. Then when I looked, I had seen the tall creature. It was very similar to a human, yet it wore a deer skull as a permanent mask of some kind. It didn't speak, but it used hand gestures. The creature had already fed itself and wasn't interested in me. I saw kids' corpses in the snowbanks. The creature got close and started to find me a personalized skull for some reason. I just decided not to anger the spirit, knowing it probably would do something much worse. So I told it what skull I liked best. Once the creature found the perfect skull, he smashed it onto my head since it didn't properly fit. But I didn't completely die from that process. Then I was a Wendigo. What an odd dream. One thing to note here, I found it was very similar to the, she said SCP, Wendigo skull situation, but it wasn't exactly like it's hard to explain. It kind of seemed like an older Wendigo trying to make another generation or something. Like that also, the dream was frostbite, weather, cold. I felt the cold as if I was actually in that setting, even though I was completely aware I was sleeping in bed warm. And I knew roughly where the encounter took place. In real life, this dream roughly takes place somewhere out nearby Delta outside of Portage La Prairie. Wendigo getting closer. So as the second dream happened, I did the same thing, but the weather wasn't horribly freezing as the first dream. But I did the same thing, saying the creature's name 3 times. This is like Bloody Mary.
Yeah, and Beetlejuice.
But this time it didn't show right away. By the way, this takes place in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. Manitoba? Is this
Canada?
Canada? Okay. And I live outside around Southport currently, but when I saw the Wendigo, it was spotted on the Crescent Road, then disappeared when I had seen a Native American girl that looked to be 10 or something around that age range. I randomly started to talk to the girl. Then when I turned to look behind myself, I saw a Native American male, what looked like to be a fur trapper. He looked like a shadow almost. When he touched me, I had become a Wendigo. She's just becoming Wendigos left and right. This started around the new round. About that had been recently made in town from there. This wording, I tell you. On it was pretty close to gain concern for me because this Wendigo I saw was much older than the one I had seen the first time. Also, the general vibe I had was unsettling, where I felt the hunger before the man touched my shoulder. This is all I have to share. I hope that finds the right people. Maybe someone can explain what the dreams mean, if at all mean anything.
I hope somebody explains what she wrote first. That sounds mean, but I couldn't. It was hard to follow.
It was a little hard to follow, yeah. All right, I apologize. That one was hard to follow. That was my bad. All right, next one is from, it says Bayou, and then it says deleted, so I don't really know. Did I see a Wendigo? Yesterday, I was sitting on a swing in the woods behind my house listening to music. I had already been out there for about 20 to 30 minutes. I remember having this awful gut feeling the whole time I was out there, but I really just ignored it. Anyway, while I was on the swing, I kept seeing this big black shadow figure out of the corner of my eye. Saw it about 3 to 4 times, and I just kept telling myself my eyes were playing tricks on me. I feel like after the second time, I would be like, all right, let's go inside. Mm-hmm. But when I took my headphones out, I started hearing whistling noises. It sounded half like whistling wind. It wasn't at all windy. A dog howling and a human whistling. And then in clear sight, I saw this huge black shadow.
Getting choked up over the story. Wow.
This huge black shadow-like figure for maybe a second, then it disappeared. It had the outline of a long, scrawny body with weirdly long arms. I'd say it was about 15 to 20 feet tall. I'm not exactly sure, though. Also, I remember it smelling very strongly of something dead, and not just like a dead bird or something. It reeked. After staying for a few more seconds, I booked it out of there and ran all the way back to my house. They said, was this a skinwalker, a Wendigo? I'm just confused. I know I'm not going crazy. I'm only 14 and nothing like this has ever happened to me. I recently just got into doing some research about skinwalkers and Wendigos because my uncle was telling me about them a few weeks ago. Could anyone tell me what I saw?
It's an interesting sighting.
Yeah, I would have ran immediately and been like...
Oh, I would have told myself that my mind's playing tricks on me.
I guess
freak myself out.
I guess if I was by myself, yeah, I would have been like, But I mean, he did say like in regards to the smell. I remember you saying how in your last episode, I think you talked about how they.
Oh yeah, they said they have a bad smell. Mm-hmm. I forgot about that. Good job remembering a week ago.
Thanks. I thought that was good. All right, this one's short and this one's interesting. It's crumb. It's crumb.
It's crumb.
It's crumb. It's from Comfortable Fee 4585. A story I heard once from a friend. So but she's writing it in that person's point of view. I grew up in a small farming town in rural America, and it was always a quiet and pleasant place. But that all changed the summer I turned 18. I started feeling like I was being followed, like someone was always watching me. I would turn around and find nothing there. But the feeling never faded. I was sure I was being haunted by something, but I had no idea what. One night, I heard a strange noise outside, and as I stepped out onto my porch, I caught sight of a tall, hulking figure. My heart stopped. It was a Wendigo. I'd heard the stories growing up, but never thought I'd see one in real life. Sorry, my delivery is interesting.
It was the Wendigo.
It was a Wendigo. The Wendigo began stalking me, always a few steps ahead. I had no idea what it wanted, but I knew I had to get away. I sold everything I had, kept just my passport, and made my way to Japan. End of story.
Random question, though. How, if it's stalking them, is it a couple steps ahead? Wouldn't she be stalking the Wendigo? That sounds like a scarier person than the Wendigo, because who's going to stalk them?
Yeah.
Just like the thing I saw the other day talking about tigers having white spots on their ears, so it looks like eyes to deter predators. And then it's like, what's hunting tigers? Is it other tigers? Is it Wendigos?
It's other animals, like other...
Or Wendigos.
Or Wendigos. Other cats also, well, not like house cats, but like leopards and stuff. Some of them have, I know snow leopards have the eyes on the back of their ears. I learned this on TV, because when you brought this to my attention, I already knew this. No, Jack Hanna taught me that when I went to a zoo. But I watched something on TV once, and there were people at a tiger sanctuary, and they would wear face masks on the back of their heads, so it never looks like they're turning their back to the tigers.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Fun tiger facts for everybody out there who wasn't interested in tiger facts. Next one's from Skylar Arena. Yep. A story I heard from my dad. We had been planning this hunting trip for months, and finally the day had come. The 5 of us, experienced hunters all, set out for a remote cabin in the wilderness, eager for a weekend of adventure. The first few days were uneventful, filled with laughter and good spirits. But on the third night, our peace was shattered by strange noises coming from outside. We cautiously stepped out of the cabin to investigate, but all we saw was darkness. Then it appeared. A tall, thin figure emerged from behind the trees, its skin as pale as snow and its eyes glowing. We knew immediately Oh gosh, you guys, immediately what it was. A Wendigo, a demonic spirit that lived in the wilderness and preyed on humans.
Who knows what these are immediately?
I don't know. It's just like, if we were in the woods, I don't think Wendigo would be my first
Like,
thought.
Wendigo, knock it off.
Like, you Wendigo, get out here. Get your ass out here.
You're trying to keep this PG, Miss Swearing Lady.
Oh, I think ass is okay.
I know, it could be a donkey.
We ran back to the cabin and locked ourselves inside, trying to figure out a way to survive the night. The Wendigo continued to stalk us, trying to break through the doors and windows. Its howls echoed through the forest, sending chills down our spines. We huddled together, clutching our weapons, but we were no match for the strength of the Wendigo. It seemed to grow more and more aggressive as the night wore on, and we were sure that it would be our end. But then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the Wendigo disappeared as the sun started to rise. We emerged from the cabin, shaken but alive. From that day on, we never went back to that remote cabin again. The encounter had left a deep impact on us, and we were forever changed.
We were forever changed.
That'd be scary. Like, if that really happened.
Is this Escanaba into Moonlight?
Is that the terrible movie we watched?
Yeah, I think that's the same. I think that's the story of Escanaba into Moonlight.
Oh yeah, they had us watch. Well, because they were comparing it to the Beast of Bray Road. That's why we watched it.
Is that why we watched it?
That's why we watched it. But I feel like
I think that was like a Wendigo in that.
I feel
movie.
like it was a Wendigo. That if you guys want an interesting, I mean, it got us good laughs. It's
the first like 3 minutes, and then
it's an interesting, humored movie. So, all right, this is my last one. Give me all your energy.
All of it?
All of it.
What if I die? Because you have all my energy.
Okay, don't take... Oh, okay, whatever. Stop it. This is from Verwolven 94.
You sound like a Wendigo asking for my energy.
Maybe you'll become one. Creature on back road. If you read my first encounter, or whatever you want to call it, well, this all happened just about 7 kilometers down the road from that. Everybody, I do not have that first encounter for you. I did not try to dig for Verolven 94's other posts.
Verolven?
Verolven. So I just am reading their second encounter. A few years later, I was out hunting with a friend when we lost legal light. So we hiked back to the truck and hit the road in his parents' new Ford half-ton. Is this an advertisement? The ones with the sensors all over the vehicle.
We felt like we were safe once we were in that
That
Ford F-150.
We had some music.
Half-ton. What would that be? What? I don't know.
I don't know trucks or cars or anything really about any vehicle. We had some music playing as we were just heading back towards town again. Then the music started acting weird and cutting in and out with static. So me, being in the passenger seat, disconnected the Bluetooth and reconnected the phone. Music cleared up and we continued down the road. We got up to the kilometer board on the road that my previous encounter took place, and I mentioned, oh hey, that's the whistle block that we logged a couple years back. Half jokingly, because I couldn't make heads or tails of it. My friend replied, great, thanks for that, as I had told him the story before. We continued slowly driving down the road because it gets pretty rough at a couple spots and the road has a few sharp turns and an S-bend. Well, we go about a kilometer further and the music starts screeching and doing what we can only describe as alien noises. I don't know what that would sound like. So I disconnect the Bluetooth again and my friend says, oh, Mom's got a cord in here. So he stops and gets the cord for me. I plug the phone in and play music again. Another kilometer down the road and the phone goes apeshit. I mean, loud alien squealing and sounds similar to that shitty dial-up internet noise from the 90s. We had started into the S-Bend when this was happening, and we shut the music off completely as we are driving still, making the one half of the S-turn, and then we both look up from the music deck screen, and the headlight illuminate a figure standing in the middle of the road. So we swerve and take the ditch a bit. I almost said the wrong word. Ditch a bit. Say that 10 times fast. Still going probably 30 kilometers an hour and get the truck back up on the road. So we continue coasting down the road as we are both in awe after just seeing a flash of this thing. I finally say, after what seemed like 5 quiet minutes, man, did you just see? My friend cuts me off and says, a bleeping skeleton in the middle of the road? I say, yeah, like a white rib cage and a deer skull for a face. He finishes. I said, turn around. What the bleep was that? Does someone need our help? Not thinking that we are in the middle of nowhere with no vehicles around or any that we had passed from the other hunters. It was early season and no one bow hunts here anyways. My friend said, I'm not turning around. I feel sick, like I'm going to throw up. And he continued driving. We didn't see another vehicle until we hit pavement again. It was taller than the pickup by easily a couple feet. I'm 6'1", and my forehead is at the top of the window for reference. It has black surrounding the white of the bones with long arms half stretched to its sides as if it was saying, try and hit me. Come at me, bro. That's what I'm imagining. I watched this thing pass the passenger window and stared up at it as we wailed by it. And it was definitely three-dimensional. Sorry, that seems like a weird description to me. Tall with long arms and dark. Dead looking. Like light was sucked into it without reflecting anything. Hard to explain. When we hit service again, my friend received a text message from his mother saying, "What did you two idiots hit in my brand new truck?" I guess the new Fords send near accident reports to the owner when the sensors pick up something. I'm an old school Chevy guy, so I don't know. Haha. This is brought to you by Ford and Chevy. The only thing I can find online that resembles what we both saw is a Wendigo without the antlers, or the headlights didn't illuminate them anyway. So I liked that one. Sorry, some of the wording was weird, so I kind of struggled on that. But
it was interesting.
I don't know. I like how he's like, it was like, hit me, come at me.
I wonder if anyone's ever got an actual video or pictures.
Yeah, we'll have to look. If we do, we can share it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know how you can tell that we live in the United States?
How?
We keep saying kilometers. I think it's kilometers.
Oh my God.
That's okay.
Well,
people pronounce things differently depending on where you live.
That's the same word though, right? Mm-hmm. You can say okay.
Well, like how some people say coyote, some people say coyote.
Coyote. How did I say it earlier?
We said coyote.
Coyote. My bad. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening this week. Again, thank you so much.
Including me?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Alan, for just sitting there and listening and having some responses for me and reactions. If you guys haven't already, please go on our YouTube channel, give us a like and a subscribe. And otherwise, we'll talk to y'all next week.